It's funny how the mainstream media is trying to take all this in. It's a lot for some of them. People like Mika Brzezinski over on Morning Joe. I mean, she was reduced to near tears this morning because she's realizing, right, what is going down. Their guy. Gosh, her hubby there, Joe, just loves the other Joe, just loves him. I mean, he was the guy who was leading the brigade, right? Remember when he said, "This is the best Joe Biden I have ever seen"? That was like a month ago. I mean, really? That's the best you've seen, buddy? Anyway, they look kind of foolish now, and it's all catching up with them. So I want you to see her here, just recognizing, I think, the inevitable here as she's reading off some of the polls, et cetera. And then you get Nancy Pelosi, oddly, kind of trying to cheer her up. Take a peek.
Past 24 hours behind the scenes, there's been a lot of depression among Democrats. The phone lines burning up, concerned about his candidacy and whether or not he can win. And some even out loud are shaky at best about President Biden, whether or not he should step out of the race. The headlines, the polling, it all feels very dark. How do you think the president is doing in light of his poor debate performance? Can he do more? And what do you say to Democrats in Congress and even members of the Senate who are beginning to waver in their support?
Good morning, Mika. That's one version of the story. What I do want to say is that yesterday I was honored to be present at the president's speech at NATO. He was absolutely spectacular. He was received over and over again with ovations for what he had to say and the force with which he said it. And then he gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Jens Stoltenberg, the Secretary General of NATO. I felt very honored by that because as one who has received it, Jens getting it brought luster to that honor. So it was a beautifully received, energetic presentation by the president. Politics is politics. People have their interest in terms of their own region and the rest. And so we are the Democratic Party, a party that is, shall we say, not lockstep. But this president has been a great president. And I can tell you firsthand, as a person who orchestrated many of the pieces of legislation that the president takes great pride in, and he should, because he was there at the table, chapter and verse, very conversant, with a vision, a purpose, with the knowledge of the issues, with values underlining it all, and again, always asking the question, what does this mean to working families in our country? So any thought that he wasn't able to deliver on all of those is, I can just say, just didn't happen.
I mean, that kind of sounded like an obit, didn't it? I mean, and by the way, I know it's early in the morning, but they got to get the makeup artist in there for Nancy. I mean, that was rough. Now we're going to start saying, is it time for Nancy to retire? It may be, because you listen to her speech pattern and it's not sounding a whole lot better than Joe. Really not. Anyway, she sounded kind of like she was giving some kind of eulogy. I mean, they've cooked him. And the irony here is, again, that they're trying to, quote unquote, save democracy from Donald Trump. And so in order to do that, they need to take out the guy that the American people voted for, that the Democrat Party voted for. It's a bit weird. I'm just saying, okay? Like, pot calling kettle a little bit too much, shall we say, over and over again. But you know what? You saw what just went down at NATO. The speech that Nancy Pelosi thinks is so fantastic. It wasn't so fantastic. It wasn't so fantastic in part because, well, gosh, I mean, there was this little blunder. Joe Biden can't even seem to get out the word Ukraine, for goodness sakes. Watch.
Destroy Ukraine's culture.
Oh, boy. Ooh, fun times.